All right, all I want to do here is give you an overview of the course, and I specifically want to address for the lecture part of the class, what kind of assignments you're going to get and how you're going to be assessed on those sorts of things, right? So overall, the course is going to be broken into 4 blocks of information. Each block will be punctuated with an exam, okay? So there's going to be 4 exams in the course. Before taking an exam, you're going to have 4 quizzes. So each block will have 4 quizzes. So 4 quizzes. To prepare for the quizzes, you're going to have a number of lectures like this one. And the way they'll be organized is that each lecture that you have, which will be a video like this, will say it's related to quiz 1. Or quiz 2 or quiz 3. So there might be 3 videos related to quiz 1, there might be 4 videos related to quiz 2, there may only be 2 videos related to quiz 3, so it's not a specific number. Some of them may be a little bit longer, some of them might be shorter, but they're all going to generally cover the same kind of breadth of material for each of the quizzes. All right. You're also going to have readings. And the readings can be used also in studying and preparing for the quizzes. So now how the quizzes actually work. So every quiz is 10 points. So there are 4 quizzes per block. There are 4 blocks. That means there's 16 quizzes. That's a total in this course of 160 points for these quizzes. You need to think of the quizzes as a study tool for you and as a type of graded homework. Okay, so you are going to be starting to do a quiz, reading some questions, trying to get the answers for them. You might know it already because you watched some of the lectures or did some of the reading. But when you don't know it, the idea is you're going to use this as a study tool. You can say, oh, I should know this. This is something I need to know for this course. So now I'm going to go look it up. The quizzes themselves as a study tool are not going to be timed where you're going to get kicked out of them. So you can open up a quiz, start working on it for 10 minutes or 20 minutes or an hour. You need to complete it within a block of time and submit it, or else you get locked out of the quiz, but you're not going to get kicked out of it, or you can continue to do it. You can also repeat quizzes up to 3 times. So that means if you do a quiz and you don't do that well, and then you thought you go, oh, I kind of know this stuff, and you just answer the questions and you end up with a 6 out of 10, you're like, oh, geez, I lost a lot of points. I wish I could get a couple more points for that. You can. So repeat the quiz. Look up the things you got wrong. That's part of the study process, all right? And then maybe get it right. You'll get, say, a 10 out of 10, but the score in the grade book is only going to say 8. You say, well, why does it have an 8? Because you're going to get the average of your attempts. That's the recording. So then you can do it a 3rd time if you want, boost your score up again. And the idea is you're practicing and reading the questions, and that's going to help prepare you for the exam. All right, exams are worth 100 points each, and the exams are going to be different, right, than the quizzes. The exams are going to have very limited time in 2 respects. The overall availability, like when can you find the exam available to take, and then when will it vanish from existence, is going to be limited. So I'll have those set as specific dates and times. You're going to have to go in at that time and date to do the exam. And if you miss it, then you've missed the exam, right, for the course. So again, there's going to be 4 of them in the summer class. So they're going to be a little over, a week, maybe 8, 9 days apart. So you're going to have just that much time to go over 1 block of material, and then it's going to be an exam, and there's going to be another block, another exam, and so on, right, until the course ends. They're also going to be limited in time in how long you have to take them. Unlike the quizzes, which are, like I said, you can work on for 10 minutes or an hour or 2 hours, you're going to have a very set amount of time to just read the questions, click on the correct answer, move on to the next question. If you think you're going to have enough time to look up answers online, that's not going to work out. You're going to end up having the exam auto-submitted, and then the last, say, 10, 15, who knows how many questions are going to be just unanswered and will all be zeros. All right, so you'll lose 1, 2, 3 letter grades just like that, because you didn't really prepare for the exam. and that's just going to be it. There's no going back on that. So you need to prepare for these exams as you would for any exam. And one of the ways to prepare is simply doing the quizzes, watching the lectures and doing the readings, and you surely should be prepared for them. The exams will be slightly different also than the quizzes in that there's going to be a multiple choice part, and then there's going to be a written part that will be submitted separately. So the multiple choice part and the quizzes are going to be very similar to one another, right? The written part is going to be more problems that you're going to have to solve and larger processes that you're going to have to explain. So again, especially the problems, you're not going to just be able to look up the answer for them. You have to kind of know how to answer it or know how to solve it. If you just type it in online, the question itself, these are all questions I wrote specifically for this course. The book isn't the instructor for the course, that I am. So I'm responsible for writing all the questions and for the quizzes, for the exams, preparing all the content for the lectures, and then assessing you on what you retain, of those pieces of information. Right? So these are questions I wrote. They're not online anywhere else other than in this particular course. So you're not going to just find the answers. You're going to have to know how to solve the answers and then submit them. And that the details of how to submit that will be separate. It'll be similar to how you submit your labs, right, for the course. So quizzes and exams are going to be what you're going to get mostly from the lecture. There's going to be a whole bunch of lab-related assignments that you're going to do, which I'll explain separately. The lab assignments are going to have you be doing a lot of hands-on experiments for most of them. There'll be a few of them that are problem-based as well, like for genetics problems and like classifying organisms and things like that. But a lot of them are going to be little experiments that you're going to do that are going to be both sort of lab-type experiments and field experiments because of the class. You're going to have to go outside and do certain things, collect things, take pictures of things. You're going to have to do work in the lab, which is going to be in your home, but with a lab kit that I'm giving you, where you're going to have to make different solutions and collect data and do certain experiments. Most of it will be tied in timing to the lecture content that it's related to, but some of it will not because it just requires more time. So for example, in the later block of material where we cover plants, for example, we're going to be doing a plant growth experiment. But if we wait until then to begin the experiment, it's too late, right? Because you have to germinate seeds before we do the growth and the class will be over. So you're going to be germinating the seeds right at the very beginning of the course. Again, I'll explain this in the lab specific overview, but then the seeds will be ready, and then later on you'll start the growth experiment, and you'll probably be collecting the data, finishing up the experiment when we talk about actual plants in the lecture. But some of those things are going to be, spaced out, and I'll give you the recommended timing on that. So this is kind of the overview. The first block is more cells, cell structure, the chemical molecules that structure cells, and just what's essential for you to know for this class as a non-majors course. There, like I said in a previous video, there's a supplemental set of lectures for people who are in a science field who are taking this class as a prerequisite. You're not going to do well in microbiology or anatomy physiology with a non-majors intro bio level of content if it's taught truly at a non-majors intro bio level. If this class is taught for non-majors but at the level for majors, it's going to be inappropriate for someone. It's going to be inappropriate for the non-majors or inappropriate for the majors. So since I know you're going to have both probably in this class, it's going to be taught as it is supposed to be in the catalog for non-majors. But I'm going to give other people supplemental material that the details there are not going to be on these exams. Okay, but it's for you to know that I might need to know this more so for another course, and I'll specifically highlight what is it that you really should know this before microbiology, you should really know this before anatomy physiology. So there'll be a few topics, especially in the first part, that you should really know. All right, so then we go into the second part. There's kind of metabolism, and then we get into some molecular genetics, and then kind of the genetics of inheritance. And then we continue a little bit of that into block 3 with mechanisms of evolution and diversity. So biodiversity, how did diversity come about? How do we classify things? And then we start to get into groups. So we start to do like a tour of life through bacteria and protists, as we get to eukaryotic cells, and then we get into plants, and then we go into block 4 and can kind of continue that. We go into fungi and animals, and the whole, mostly invertebrate animals, but we do cover vertebrates, and then we end with populations and how organisms interact with each other. And that's kind of like the overview of the whole course, at least as far as the lecture part goes. Like I said, the lab part I'll be talking about separately. So hopefully this gives you a little bit of insight on how to deal with different blocks of information. And in Blackboard, they'll be organized this way. You'll have kind of the block one, and then in it, you'll have the quizzes, you'll have the lectures, and they'll be all designated to what they're linked with, which lectures link up with which quizzes and so on.